So how was kayaking on the lake with all that wind?
It was a little windy, but it was 64 degrees. So, you layer up and you put a towel over your lap because I don't kayak lately, but when you're paddling, that water tends to settle right in your lap. Boom. So, you can make it a pretty comfortable time, and it's good arm workout, and when you're on the water.
So there you go.
Live from VentureX Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Morning, and I'll tell you, it is the morning of the inauguration. That's right, one president walking out one side, and one president will be walking in another side. And it's interesting, the news this morning has really made a big deal about that President Trump will be walking out the south side, and Joe Biden walking in the north side, and that the president will be taking Marine One over to Joint Air Force Base there in Maryland, Andrews Air Force Base, to do a farewell, while Joe Biden gets inaugurated, and then will walk in the north side and go straight to the Oval Office. They're saying he's not even going to the residence, straight into the Oval Office to get to work. And so, Dr. Good, we're seeing more historic moments here, even in 2021,
Something interesting that came up yesterday was there were teacher groups and even superintendents who wondered if they should encourage their staff not to show the inauguration today.
Now,
because it might not be safe.
Why wouldn't it be safe?
Well, because of all the hoopla around the possibility of violence. And it's like, so haven't we already, especially if you saw my podcast last week, gave you lots of ideas on how to teach content around the inauguration, but current events should have dictated already some discussion with especially our secondary kids around what happened, to put it and keep it in context. And so now continuing that context to put the inauguration in context to not only today, but past ones, right? And I had a superintendent that I reached out to and said, hey, are you seeing on the teacher groups that they're saying, they're wondering if we should not let teachers show that? And it's like, he was horrified. But then there are others, I had one of my upper leadership reach out and say, so should we let teachers show this? And it's like, guys, this is history. Why would we shield our kids from the opportunity to talk about all of this and to make sure we keep it neutral and unbiased, but within the right context, right? So there's a lot going on out here just with educators around the inauguration and shall we, shouldn't we, all of that stuff. So that sort of caught me off guard yesterday.
Dr. Ed, I'll tell you, and I understand we've become so overly sensitive to the rhetoric that we're afraid to watch the substance. I'm a Republican. I voted for President Donald Trump. I'm not a radical. I'm not an extremist. He lost, good, bad, or indifferent. Today marks a day in our history when we will inaugurate the 46th president of the United States, regardless of who that is. And it's a part of our history one way or the other. Do I agree with any of his politics? No, not really. But I read opposition material, so I understand my opposition. And I'm going to watch the inauguration to see how it unfolds and see what he has to say. And so I think it's a sad day when we're afraid to watch the process of our government. Because now, at this point, there's not the politic. This is our process. This is how we continue our government moving forward after the election process. And so, I find it interesting that people can't differentiate.
And protecting our kids from this?
Yeah.
So, no, I think our kids need to hear a neutral, unbiased party who can help filter what they're seeing again, we encourage our teachers to be very careful about not bringing in their personal politics, but to help kids understand the history of it and the pieces of it, like I spoke in the podcast around the inauguration, the speeches that are really written to persuade us, right? To persuade us to feel like this is we're entering into a good time, a time of unity and so forth. The poet, I read somewhere that the poet is the youngest poet ever to be at an inauguration. And so I encourage all teachers, ELA teachers, English language arts, to get a copy of the poet that he reads today and maybe have the kids look at it tomorrow. There's so many opportunities to understand our government at work, the hope that the new administration brings to unify all of us. So don't shield our kids from this. Get them into it and get them excited and get them understanding the process so that they want to become those voters when they turn 18.
Yeah, no, I agree. I couldn't agree more. Again, it's the inauguration, even the pomp and circumstance around Donald Trump leaving. At 8:15, I'm recording that because I want to watch that. Again, it's part of the process of our government. And so the politics I might get, I don't understand the ignoring the fact that we're inaugurating a new president today, because it is what it is at this point. So with that being said, there's a lot going on in this country and a lot of things that have got to be addressed. I know that my father and I are still on waiting lists to go in and get the COVID-19 vaccination. He is a 1B and I'm a 1B. And, I think one of the questions that you posed, should teachers be on that first responders list?
Well, and so that is a question that's really a nationwide question. I saw an article that caught my eye that I wanted to bring forth, and that is that so far the vaccination decisions are state decisions. Only 17 states have made teacher eligible to get the vaccines earlier rather than later. If you want to know them, I've written them. Texas is not among them. They're all over the place. It's not like they're all northeast states. Sometimes they tend to group up and have group think up there, or they're not all on the west, right? They also sometimes suffer from group think, but they're all over the place. Anywhere from Arizona, Arkansas, California to New Mexico, West Virginia, Utah. I mean, the spread of how they've decided to let teachers have vaccines earlier rather than later. I just saw one state, which sort of was interesting. One state is allowing teachers over 50 to get their vaccines earlier and before other teachers, which, seems to make sense, but really all teachers should be considered frontline workers at this point and should not have to be fighting for the vaccine. And this is very recent. This article was as of January 19th. Okay, so that was yesterday. And so only 17 states have made their vaccines eligible. And yet even a couple of states said that teachers are 1B unless they've got extra dosages so that they don't waste them, or they have comorbidities. And you and I have both heard already of places that have thrown away vaccines because they didn't have people to give them to, right?
Right.
And so there isn't a protocol nationwide as to how to make sure that our educators get the vaccine in a structured, timely manner.
So here's, I guess, the big question is, why wouldn't a teacher be considered a frontline worker? We know that kids are the best at spreading childhood colds and flus and chicken pox. And, we have parents that have chicken pox parties. When they find out that one small child has it, they all get together at that kid's house to expose them to get it over with so it's done. Why wouldn't teachers be on the front line for vaccinations, knowing that you've got kids coming and going, because schools are going back to face-to-face, and have now for a semester, full semester. Why wouldn't you? What's the thought behind it?
Well, that is an eternal question around not only the COVID vaccine, but around a lot of things that impact teachers. Teachers historically have not been treated, when I say respectfully, what I mean is, for example, back even starting 100 years ago, female teachers were paid less than male teachers because the females were not considered breadwinners, right? And then over time, the male became the breadwinner. The teacher was the supplement income. And so teachers just have historically always been paid less. They even, gosh, even we have this situation where if you have a husband that makes Social Security and a wife that makes TRS, teacher retirement, and the husband dies, the wife is not eligible for the husband's Social Security. That's crazy. Now, if the both were Social Security, the wife would be eligible for widow benefits. But for whatever reason, they have done the elimination tax for teachers. And so teachers have historically been not well regarded. Their insurance is higher when they retire. They get very small, similar to Social Security, very small increases after you retire. 20 years later, you could have 3% increase after in your retirement funds. And so is this more of that same regard by our politicians and our municipalities that make the decisions around vaccines? I don't know. None of us know. It's all a head shaker, because you're right. We are in the front lines. We are in there with our little rugrats that bring those germs to school. It's a known thing. So your guess is as good as ours as to why we would have to battle to get our teachers on the vaccination list.
You know, and I guess my other question would be to change that mindset when it comes to public health and teachers. I mean, where do we go for that? Do we go to a federal level? Do we go to a state level? Is it a both? Do you go to the state house and then the U.S. House?
You know, right now, I don't think there's time to do all that. I don't. Your sense of urgency right now to get the vaccine, I think precludes going through all those steps to try to get some attention at the federal level. Things are a mess right now at the federal level, frankly, and so I think they're happy to let each state decide who gets what when. Okay.
Well, I just know that at some point we have to recognize the fact that if every teacher were to come down with COVID-19 at the same time, then our educational system would come to an absolute halt. And
I know that. And I don't want to say that's happened completely like that, but it's happened to the point where we've had to close school and go to remote. You know, all over the country, we've had that happen. So, and yet I hear politicians agree that school is the best place for our kids. I hear lots of high up people agree that in school is best learning for our children. And yet the steps that it takes to make our educators safe enough to be in school aren't there. So, you know, again, that causes me to become a stronger advocate for public education, right?
absolutely.
The whole, of the Ask Dr. Be Good show, to try to get some more respect for the teaching profession and to stop thinking of it as sort of a supplemental income for the working family. Because in many cases we're not. We're these, you know, many of our teachers are single parents, or both parents are teachers. And so we just need to give educators the respect that they deserve.
So the crew is already, of course, responding out. Michelle says teachers should be on a list to get vaccine. Make it a choice. Teachers kind of run the educational structure. Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with her more. I mean, I've heard some districts and private schools even where 25% of their staff has COVID-19. or has been exposed where they're quarantined. And that brings you to a halt. I mean, whether a kid has been exposed or not, you start sending kids home because you don't have anybody to put in a classroom with them.
Yes, I know. Tell me about it. I've got a school closed right now. So they go back Monday. We're rolling with the punches right now. We all are, but it would be nice to think that our government could help us be more ready to combat this if they would just allow teachers to go ahead and get the vaccine because it's the right thing to do.
You know, Dr. Good, I'd asked you last night as well, and I knew I placed this burden on you. What are the statistics right now of teachers, students that are contracting COVID-19 and in the school systems?
Well, I'll tell you right now, Texas Public Schools COVID-19 data for right now, we have 74,277 positive student cases in Texas, and we have 44,662 positive cases. A great website to go to, and I sent you this so to put it in the chat. The COVID Monitor is a state map of COVID reporting resources in schools. And what they've done is they've taken every state and they've labeled it, does this state report any official data about cases in schools? And there are 8 gray states which say no. So there's no official data. California, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, those are some of the ones that don't report that. Yes, the solid yeses are greens and then limited are blue. And if you put that link in there, then you click on the state. So I'm going to click on Oklahoma because I already clicked on and gave you the stats on Texas. And so what it gives you, it gives you a grade. Overall, Louisiana has a grade of A because Louisiana reports its cases at the state level, the district level, and school level. And then you can click here to see state data. And so you click on there. And so every state has this. Now, what's interesting is once you click on the state data, those state data websites all look different because they're all reporting it in a different way. But for example, here in Louisiana, we know that you have K2 school reporting as of January 13th. So if they do it weekly, and here's the number of cases by different categories: bars, camps, casinos, child care, construction sites, and so forth, social events, weddings. And so if you click on the K2 school for them, then you go all the way down to their to the ending because they have it by parish. So by parish, they have 944 staff versus 1738 for students. Okay, so there's a very quick way, and the ones that do have their data on here, they update. It's pretty recent data. So again, if you'll put that link in the chat for me,
Already did.
You can have by state how states are faring, not only by how they're faring, but whether they even report it or not. That's how irregular the information that's coming into the federal government is, right? So right. I thought that was fascinating.
Well, thank you for getting all of that for us. And, you know, it's interesting that we're not all tracking what's going on with we track everything in schools, so I think it's hilarious that we're not tracking, you know, COVID-19 exposures on campus, off campus.
Well, you'll remember Betty DeVos said early on that they weren't going to track it. Do you remember that?
Right. Oh yeah. No, I remember that. And I just was shocked by the fact, because again, we track we are education in our country is all about building data. And a lot of times it is data driven on how we make decisions from local district to local district. And so it blows my mind that we were not tracking probably one of the very closest places that would give us a microcosm of the bigger picture on our school campuses. So blows me away.
So anyway, just long story short, there's data available for most states, and nobody's really, well, at least 17 states have started letting teachers get vaccinated, but that's just not enough. And unfortunately, Texas isn't one of them. Texas is putting teachers in the 2A, I believe, which we haven't even been able to get all our 1Bs because those are millions of people.
Right.
So what I would encourage people to do, though, is become an advocate for your school system and go ahead and shoot your legislators a quick email about the fact that you think teachers should be bumped at least to the 1Bs. And I say 1Bs only because that's most places are now giving vaccines to the 1Bs. And so let's get teachers allowed to start getting vaccinated at the 1B level, even if they don't have a comorbidity, right?
Right.
So
yeah, because I mean they're around them for sure. So, Dr. Good, what do you have coming for us on Sunday?
Well, there's going to be a lot more talk about not only the vaccines, about the Biden administration and the new Secretary of Education. He has, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he has lots of education experience. So we're going to talk more about what upcoming changes they're talking about for education at the federal level, which on one hand, you think, well, public school is run at the state level, but it's really commandeered by the federal level. Many of our crew do not understand that at the federal level, even we must have data for our special ed students, our ELL students, our English language students, because that's a federal mandate. And if we don't give them data, they don't give us our federal funds.
Right.
And so we're going to talk about how all that's connecting and the fact that we're allowed to, well, we've been allowed to give the STAR test this year, but it won't count against us at a state level. It may, because the federal government needs their data, it may still count against us at a federal level. And so the state is petitioning a waiver again. And so we'll talk all about that accountability and what it looks like down the road for us due to COVID and all this uncertainty and new people coming in with this new administration.
All right. Well, fantastic. Tune in to Ask Dr. Be Good Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock, and make comments. Talk to her. She will talk back.
Please shoot me a question. You gotta, we're starting to resolve some of these questions that parents have that districts are causing them to have because not all of our school systems have good answers for our parents. So I help with that. So thank you for that, and go to the Ask Dr. Be Good Facebook page or my website and you'll be able to find me. Thank you.
All right. Well, Dr. Be Good, have a blessed day. We'll be talking at you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So again, tune in Sunday mornings, 8 o'clock with Dr. Be Good at the Ask Dr. Be Good show. All things public education. We're now getting ready to bring on James Sellers. James, of course, and we'll have to confirm this, President, CEO of SightMark. Is James with us this morning? So as we get James up on the screen there, we're going to talk with James about the NRA and their possible move. What does that mean and why is that happening? Their potential bankruptcy, but also more closer to home, James contracted COVID-19. How that impacted him as a CEO president of I would consider a large company, and how to maintain operations and what did you have to put in place, and did it impact other employees there at the company, and if so, what had to be done? So we're going to get an inside look at what COVID-19 may have done or potentially could have done to a company and how that company reacted. So is he there? James, can you hear us? We can't hear James. James has muted himself. We're going to ask, there's James. James, can you hear us? Are we turned up on the board? There's some background noise. James, good morning. Can you hear us? Well, I'll tell you, while James is getting everything set up over there, one of the other things that, of course, going on today, President Donald Trump will be leaving the White House. In fact, he has done so, as reported by Fred from the group. He has left the building, got on Marine One, and is heading over to join Air Force Station Andrews to address the nation one more time. And as he will then board Air Force One and head down to Florida. Today, my understanding is the inauguration of Joe Biden will have about 2,000 people in attendance, no more than that. It is going to be held outside, not inside like initially thought. And so we'll see how that rolls. Again, interestingly enough, more National Guard and police presence at the inauguration today than actual citizens with boots on the ground. I know that there was at 25,000, and now they're even talking about there being more than that. Like I think they've added another 11 or 12,000 people to that. And so now Fred is reporting that he has flown off with Air Force One as he has left the building. So I guess he's already gotten on Marine One over to Air Force One. I know that I thought he was supposed to make an address from Air Force One at 8:15. So Fred, let us know if that's happening. There were 73 pardons today that were granted by the president, as Coach Quigley reported anyways. And so it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, that's a good question. Bree asked, was Lil Wayne one of the pardons? He's supposed to be. Lil Wayne was supposed to be one of the ones being pardoned. And so as we get ready, interestingly enough, the news this morning even talked about the nuclear codes. Because President Trump is still the president, they are flying with him to Florida. And at 12:01, those codes will be made invalid. And of course, new codes will be issued. And so very interesting as we go through the changing over of the guard at the White House. Let me see if James has sent me a text message. Is he on there? Hey, there's James. Can't hear you still. Got to unmute there, James.
Good morning.
There
this is James.
He is. There's Mr.
JP,
Sellers.
John, Kathy, how you doing?
Kathy is off today, by the way.
Kathy is off.
She's not feeling well. She heard you were going to be on and didn't want to catch COVID-19.
Oh my gosh! Well, I hope she does well.
No, she didn't want to catch it from you, James. I told her it was not possible because you
can't catch it anymore. I had it, got over it, so I am.
That's what I told her. No, I'm kidding. She has real bad asthma. And her asthma was acting up really badly overnight. So we are praying for Kathy to heal fast.
I can relate. I had that as a child, and it pops up once in a while. So
James,
she's better.
A couple topics I want to hit you with. First of all, good to see you and see you well, and that you're upright.
Thank you.
So that's a good thing. I'm glad I didn't get a phone call. Hey, by the way, you need to come and say goodbye to James. I'm glad I didn't get that call.
Yes, there's been a few people in our friends and family that did not survive catching COVID. So it's actually hit pretty close to home.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that for a moment. First of all, from a personal perspective, James, take us through that whole process. First of all, how did you catch it? Because you're not one to just kind of throw, air to the wind. I mean, I've been over to your company. Everybody's got hand sanitizer. Everybody's got to wear a mask. I mean, we're socially distancing.
I would say that, as far as the way SightMark and the team has handled COVID, I've been very impressed and very proud. Since the beginning, earliest days in February, March, we were able to provide all the employees and their families masks and stuff way before anybody else did that last year. So that was great. But you're right. As the head of the company, I do my best to try to set a good example. If I come in contact with somebody that could be sick, I set the example of quarantining myself, notifying HR, and that's the way we kind of approached it. If anybody thought they could have been exposed, we always erred on the side of caution, sent people home, notified people that may have been in contact, and try to make sure that we kept people safe. With us, really don't know exactly how we got it, but on Sunday we went to pick up my wife's brother. And we're heading to Galveston to take him back to the quarantine back in Galveston where her parents were staying. And on the drive, he wasn't feeling very well. So we decided to go ahead and not expose her parents to him. So we brought him back to the house, and he got very sick. And so the next day, we quarantined ourselves the next couple of days. I started losing my sense of taste. So it may have been him. It may have been before, but all three of us ended up quarantined together for 3 weeks. So
wow,
unintentionally, but fortunately, all of us got better. Actually, Myrna and I recovered quickly and did very well. Her brother who's younger, took quite a bit longer to recover. So you never know how it's going to affect people, and you have to be very careful.
So, James, at any point in time, were you in such a way that you didn't even feel like you could talk to anybody or get out of bed?
I had a very mild case. I really didn't. I think my mental acuity suffered probably the worst. I just didn't feel sharp, a little cloudy headed. I slept 10 to 12 hours a day, but during the day I was moving around and staying active and working. That's the extent of my issues. I have a little bit of breathing issues now, a little shortness of breath, which is getting better. So I don't know what that's about. I felt worse after I got tested negative than I did while I had it.
Wow. Well, they're saying that the post-COVID-19 is as bad as having COVID-19 because of the long-term lingering effects. Will you go in and see your doctor and look at your lungs, or do you feel like you'll just go ahead and continue to follow your recovery path now?
Great. Now I'm coughing. I'm keeping an eye on it. I did check in with my doctor. We did a couple televisits, and they did put me on some prednisone to kind of clear up my lungs a little bit, and that seemed to have worked. I would say that anybody that's asthmatic or prone to lung issues anyway, it seems to flare that up post-COVID for me. And I recommend staying close to your doctor, and having breathing issues is no joke, and something you need to stay on top of. So if I have any issues with that, I would go back to the doctor immediately. I want to think twice. But so far it's been manageable with just the recommendations that she had.
So James, as the president and CEO of your company, how did the day-to-day operations go on with you being quarantined? I mean, you have a large operation.
Well, actually at the time that I was already quarantined, or we were already, because of the surge in Texas, we sent anybody that could work from home. And I was working mostly from home, only come in the office when necessary. Most of our meetings, even internal meetings, we'd have meetings on Zoom, everybody in their own office, which is kind of interesting. So we did everything we could remotely, especially during the spikes. So I already was mostly working from home. Most of 2020, I felt like I was working remotely. So it's a crazy year, but it does affect the ability to operate when you have teams of people that most of the people came. I think everybody that I've been made aware of that came in contact with me had COVID did so on their own time. Family gatherings, that kind of thing. And then the people that they worked next to, they're supposed to be social distancing, wearing masks at work. So if there's a case where that didn't happen, it really wasn't intended, or people weren't following protocol by accident, or something happened. And then they would be sent home. But you can't ship anything, you can't produce anything without people working. So the manufacturing and shipping was most difficult to maintain consistency during the COVID. But our team really worked hard and kept doing everything they can to take care of those customers. And I think we did really well. I'm looking forward to the country getting better and getting past this COVID so we can start, strengthening our relationships again and growing business and taking care of our families better.
So James, from a company perspective, when the holidays were hitting, and of course the warning was, if you travel, we're going to see a huge spike. Did you issue any kind of mandate or any kind of suggestion about travel during the holidays to try to avoid that spike within SightMark?
Yeah, I mean, we're very pro freedom, right? I mean, people have a right to assemble, they have a right to meet their families, they have a right to worship. So we feel like it's not SightMark's place to involve ourselves into people's personal affairs. However, if they did travel, especially if they traveled by plane, or if they're in large gatherings, we did ask them to take time off to make sure they didn't develop symptoms before they came back to work. We also checked everyone's temperature on the way to the office. And so we try to accommodate as best we could, encourage people to take extra time off during the holidays. We, believe it or not, but we really had to work hard to get people to take as much time off as possible at the end of last year. But if they were in large groups, we did ask them to even, to wait a couple days to come back to the office. And if they had to come back to the office or they felt fine, just additional social distancing and being even more careful with washing their hands and keeping their face covered with the mask. So I think given everything we know about it, I think that's the right approach. And it's balancing the best we can to keep people's livelihoods in place and stay in business. So,
well, I can't thank you enough for sharing from a personal perspective, right? I mean, you're the first person that we've had on the show that has had COVID-19, experienced a quarantine, and then also been a business owner where you can talk about the impacts of that and what that looks like. And so it's nice to be able to have a pull the curtain back kind of thing and look behind the curtain to see what the wizard is doing. So thank you, Mr. Wizard.
Thank you, John. I always wanted to be a wizard. So that's awesome.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Maybe for Halloween this year, we need to dress up as wizards.
I think it's time, the COVID wizard.
I think so.
That's awesome.
I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
I'm glad to hear that you guys have maintained, health, and not a lot of people have been exposed. That's a good job on your end too. That's fantastic.
Well, what's interesting is that I feel like everybody now is getting COVID-19. Every time I open up social media, I have friends that are getting COVID-19. I feel like my dad and I are kind of like on an island where we're not getting it. And I'm glad we're not, because I don't know that my dad would survive it with the congestive heart failure and the reduction in lung capacity and the diabetes and the high blood pressure and all of that. I don't know that he would survive that. I know people older than him who have more issues that have been fine, kind of like you versus your brother-in-law. And so, but yeah, I mean, we go out. We don't stay home. Now, we don't engage in large crowds. We don't go running to airports, things of that nature. But, it's kind of like a comedian said, it's interesting we can walk into a restaurant wearing a mask, but as soon as we sit down, we can take the mask off. If we had just known that all along, we could all just be in wheelchairs, and then nobody would ever contract COVID-19.
Yeah, it's true. Well, Stan needs to be very careful, though, I think. We want to see him stay healthy and get better. So
yes,
keep him safe.
Yep, and we do that. And so, but so it seems like everybody and their brother is getting it right now. And so
that's good news for everybody else, because the more people that have it and get over it, and the more people that get that vaccine, we will be heading towards the point where the vector's been shut down, that there's no transmission of new cases, and you'll start seeing it go away. I think we're getting very close to that. My hope is by March, we will see things get back to normal. People start moving around, gathering in groups again, without worry. So, but I think your dad's a great candidate for that vaccine.
Well, we're on lists. If you know of anywhere that has one, James, let us know. Text message me, because we're on.
We know some people that are on administration sites. I'm not exactly sure, but he would qualify, as far as I know, to be top of the list after the medical community. So
yeah, he's a 1B'er. So
yeah, let me. He's in Arizona, is that right?
No, he's here with me in Texas.
Okay, I will send you a message offline about maybe how to get in contact to make sure that he's getting the attention he deserves with his medical conditions.
That would be fantastic. So let's shift over and talk about some medical conditions from a political perspective with the NRA. The word has come down, the NRA may be moving. Is there truth to that, James? Are they moving their HQ?
Yeah, so actually, interestingly, the NRA, which is kind of interesting history, it was actually founded by Union generals after the Civil War, like 1867 or 68, something like that. And they formed NRA because they wanted to improve the marksmanship of the nation due to the inability of Union troops to be very accurate during that conflict. But anyway, so they originally incorporated that in New York, but they've been operating in Virginia primarily for 100 years. So they actually don't have their headquarters is not in New York. And So they're right now just reorganizing. As you can imagine, the political environment is pretty sick in this country. We have people who don't understand something, so they decide they want to regulate it, and then worse, they want to ban it. And that's what we're seeing with gun rights in this country is people just don't get it. So anyway, the NRA is looking to reorganize, and they are looking to reincorporate in Texas. So they're working on that right now. There are several litigation issues in New York. New York basically has weaponized the judicial system and the legal system to force their twisted perspective on rights to make the NRA have incurred a lot of costs and difficulty to operate. So the NRA has decided to leave New York and go to someplace better. And what better place to be than Texas?
Well, and my thought process is this: what on earth convinced them that New York was okay? I mean,
Well,
they need to get down to Texas, man, where we understand what gun rights means and that we believe in a safe militia, i.e., arm our citizenry.
I think the thing is, if you look at New York in 1868 or 1870s, that time frame, upstate New York to this day, if you get a chance to go visit the good people in upstate New York, the people that have the farms, the craftsmen, the people that are built in the workshops, and there are so many good people in New York. The difficulty is you have a massive metropolis that's taken over the state, so they control the legislature, and essentially the people that are in control are people that have never lived on a farm. They never lived on a ranch. They've never shot a gun. They've never had to provide for themselves. They've been codependent on government and everything that they see as a government based life in New York City. So I think that's where that comes from, as a paradigm problem with our cities, that the people are just so removed from how our food is grown and how our livestock is converted into our meat, and how they don't know about nature. They don't understand. There's so much they don't know by living in a city. And that's kind of the reason I'm kind of smiling, is that's really what our company was about, is trying to give people that experience. And I think if we want a country to get better, we need to get more people to get outside hunting and shooting. And really, the NRA, that's what it's about, is about protecting our rights to bear arms, to protect ourselves, to hunt, to shoot. But also they advocate safety, and they advocate all these things that if the people would just listen and understand how the system thing works, if you really want to reduce gun violence, that's the NRA. They want to keep guns out of the hands of felons. They want to do more to keep us safe from bad people. And they want to make sure that people who are using guns know how to safely secure them. They have programs to help educate. So really right now, more than ever, we need the NRA. And I think that is interesting because the situation happened in New York that's caused them to reincorporate and reincorporate in Texas is really highlighting how badly we need those freedoms and why we need the NRA more than ever. I kind of think it's going to backfire on kind of the leftist regime that's trying to limit our gun rights. I think it's going to highlight and realize the need and the relevance of the NRA more than ever. So anyway, I think it's interesting times.
Well, I agree with you. Talking about the hunting aspect, I want to talk about that for a moment because it's interesting. I'll talk with people on both sides of the coin, right? I've got friends that go out and they have their annual bird hunts. They have duck hunting. They have pheasant hunting. They'll have their annual deer hunting. So I've got friends on the other side though that, how dare these people kill these animals? And my answer to that always is, James, you need to pick up the phone and call the Texas Parks and Wildlife. And you need to talk to a game warden to understand that we have a very well-managed natural habitat here in the state of Texas. And we look out for our wildlife in the state of Texas to the extent that if we're not careful, they will overrun certain populations. Like, I'll give you an example. Back in 2002, James, I don't know if you know this or not, but we had a huge deer population in South Texas. And it was so bad that game wardens were finding deer on the side of the road dead. One, because there was nothing to eat. Two, they were eating garbage. And so they were trying to find anything they could. And they would find plastic bags in their stomachs, which is what ended up killing them. And so that's when hunting laws change to where we
Yep.
can increase the number of deer that you can have, or, and so if we're not careful, that natural habitat will overflow because predation changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you don't have enough food supply, and then you have, perfectly good meat. I know that sounds terrible, but perfectly good
Yeah.
food chain
Go to
that goes
waste.
to waste.
Man, John, you sound like a scientist using science. It's interesting because that is actually the fact. We have biologists and people that study the game populations and migrations, and they're trying to work make sure that they're in balance with food supply, and make sure the populations are healthy. Right now, you have situations all over California. I don't mean to pick on New York and California, but right now they make it really easy. California's got so many prohibitions on hunting. They're getting people hitting cars in urban areas and suburbs, or hitting deer with their cars, and it's becoming a nuisance and a danger, a hazard, which how much deer they have in some counties over there. So in Texas, I think we do it right. We have a really great Texas Parks and Wildlife that does a lot to educate, promote, and encourages hunting in the areas where it needs to be done to keep those animal populations healthy. And I agree. I mean, we have people starving this country. What better way to provide? There's a big movement right now about wild meat and how much more healthy that is than the farm or ranch raised meat, because it doesn't have any
Fillers. No fillers,
steroids,
no hormone.
or hormones. It doesn't have any of all that stuff. So it's eating a natural diet. So the meat's more lean. It's definitely healthier. So there's a big movement to go back to wild game food. And there's definitely plenty of if you like hog in the state of Texas, we have plenty of hogs. We could feed probably everybody that's hungry and all their families in the state of Texas with hogs.
And that's what I think is funny, that all these groups that proclaim themselves to be liberal, because they're more compassionate and they want to help feed the homeless and help feed. Why wouldn't you take up hunting in areas where there's overrun populations of wildlife, and then get with a processing company that would donate processing? Because a lot of companies would be willing, for a good cause, to do things like that, to help donate processing. That meat would then go to feed the masses, instead of, no, let's take guns out of people's hands, let's shut down hunting seasons and let animals die because there's not enough food for them.
It does not make sense. And honestly, right now in the state of Texas, there's so many hogs that we harvest, more than we can consume as hunters, but they made it so difficult to sell. You can't sell wild hog meat to restaurants or grocery stores. You can't easily export it. So essentially, the processing facilities that do process the meat that people bring in, the value is almost to nothing. What we need to do is liberalize that for invasive species. For hog in the state of Texas, a lot to be sold, maybe made in sausage and sold at grocery stores or restaurants. That would make so much sense. And unfortunately, it's well-meaning government legislation that's getting in the way of people feeding people that need food or helping us control that hog population.
And again, where I go back to is this, James. I go back to the fact that if we didn't have such a good program in Texas Parks and Wildlife, being able to manage that wildlife, then I don't know that you and I are having this conversation. But we really do, as a state, from a wildlife perspective, we manage our lakes, our farmlands, our mountains, our swamps. We manage them well. And there's plenty of natural wildlife out there to help feed the population.
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. And if it's managed correctly,
absolutely
a population that's sustaining a sustainable reproduction rate of healthy, different age brackets of the animals will be better in balance in nature and would be allowed to be harvested. That's where places overhunt it makes no sense, because if they would just follow, the county guidelines as far as how many bucks or doe you can take in case of deer, that would allow, good equilibrium. But the problem is overhunt, and then they end up causing the opposite effect, which is completely collapsing of the population or unhealthy balance in other ways. So the key is science, actually, real science, not the type of science that you pick and choose and politicize, but science that allows the animals in nature to be healthy and have the right population levels and allow the right amount of hunting in the right way. And I think that's the objective with that. And I think the NRA would be very much supporting that thought as well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, James, I'll tell you, one of these days, I'd love to get an NRA executive come on with you, and let's talk about their objectives and what their thoughts are, and why haven't you been in Texas all this time? What were you thinking?
Yep. That'd be great. I will definitely reach out. I have quite a bit of really some of the people, the executives at NRA are fantastic people, and they're always willing to help. So let's make that happen.
Sounds great. Well, James, I know you've got a hard stop at 8:30, so I'm going to get you out of here. Give Myrna a big hug and kiss for me, and hope you're doing well. Love you, my friend, and we need to get together soon.
You too, man. All right, take care.
All right, take care, James.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. So James Sellers there with SightMark, very responsible company, very environmentally responsible company. And as you heard James's policies in regards to COVID-19 and how his company is operated without taking away the freedom of his employees, still being able to maintain a healthy work environment. And so that's what we need, is more responsible CEOs in the world. Here in studio, we have somebody who I love dearly. She has got the biggest heart in Texas, and she has now become an author, a published author, might I say. Joining us this morning is my friend Faye Curtis. Of course, Faye, pronounce your first name. I always call you Fabrienne.
It's
Fabrine. Yeah, see, I always get it wrong. I want to make you fancy, see.
You do.
I like to make you Fabrienne.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay, huh? It's okay.
Famous.
So I've got a question, Famous.
Yes.
I have a question for you.
I'm ready.
So do you have a handle now? Like, instead of it being Faye Curtis now, do you have something like Lola as a writing handle? No?
No.
You haven't done that yet?
No, I haven't done that yet. I'm leaving that up to you.
Oh, I get to name you.
Today's your day to name the
I get to name
my
you.
handle. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, It's the JP name Faye handle day.
Well, we should turn it over to the crew then. Yes, his company is SightMark is part of SellMark, Fred. SellMark is the company, SightMark is the product line. And we need you to get on that mic. Charles Gura says we can't hear this famous author.
Can you hear me now?
Can we? Well, I can hear you now. Absolutely.
Okay.
So first of all, Faye has been a dear friend of mine for years. She has stood in the at the ground level of at-risk kids and has helped me and helped so many young people over a course of 15 years when we ran Students on Service, helping kids with community service, helping them see the importance of being engaged in the community. When all of you were sitting at home, Faye was up at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning out somewhere with a bunch of kids. And so, Faye, publicly, I want to say thank you for that. And the impact that you had made, you and Big Al, on all those years of coming out with me and doing that. But things have taken a turn for you, and you're now published. Tell us about the book. Did you bring one with you?
No, I haven't got it yet.
Oh, you haven't got it yet?
No,
even.
it just went to, it went to publishing. So I should get them within a week or two.
All right.
I'll tell you about the book. It is called The Two of Us. And I am taking you on a journey of what it's like to grow up in Manhattan, and me and my sister, and then having to move to Texas. I don't want to give too much away, but I will tell you it's about the proper use of butter.
Oh, so, I love that. Okay, yep.
There's a chapter that explains to you how to use
butter.
The proper use of butter.
Now, is that with your boyfriend, or is that when you're in the kitchen?
Neither. It's good. The book is going to tell you the proper use of butter, and JP being a chef, he should know butter is one of your main ingredients.
It's your staple.
Yeah, it's your staple.
It's your staple. And Michelle and Nathan, we don't want to hear how you guys use butter.
So yes,
keep it to yourself.
Right. And then it's a great book. It tells you about my life and growing up, and the main thing I want people to realize is it's focusing on relationships. Writing during a pandemic was very difficult at times. So, I want people to understand that relationships are very important, but I talk about relationships and families and sisters. And so it'll be great for everybody to just check it out and to read it. Right now, I'm taking pre-orders, so if you want to pre-order, I have a website.
Go ahead. I'll type it into the feed.
It's Faye Divine Inspirations.
DEV or DIV?
DIV Inspirations.com. And not only do I have a website, I am a motivational coach. I learned that from JP. So,
Well,
yes. So, you can go to my website. The book is launching April 16th and 17th. I will be speaking on the 17th about my book. You can go to my website right now. You can purchase my book. I'm doing pre-orders. And if you'd like to come to, we have a women's conference. It's called The Powerful Journey. The Women Conference is April 16th and 17th, and that's where
will
I'll
you
be
pull that up,
speaking.
please, and put it on the screen for us, Bree?
Yes. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the conference and what will you be doing at the conference? And
At the conference, the 16th is a Friday. I will be personally autographing books. There are several authors that went through the Authors Academy to release a book. So we all will be there together. There will be previous authors on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I'm one of the keynote speakers to talk about my book and to educate people. So it's going to be really good.
And you can register now, it says, for live or virtual.
Yes, due to the pandemic, we can only have 100 guests. We normally have 300. So you can register for online or in person. Online is for the 2 days via Facebook, via YouTube, or you could come in person and cheer me on, and for 2 days. Yeah.
Now, how did you get involved with this organization, and what got you started on wanting to write a book?
Oh, that's a great question. So my mother is
God rest her soul.
Yes,
We love her,
God.
and she is now an angel up there hanging
She
out
is,
with God.
and she's cheering me on. She's
Standing next to my mom,
right,
and they're both looking down, going, "What the hell is wrong with these
right,
two?"
and they're like, "Look at those two." I
Yeah,
don't know.
get
right.
it together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, my mother wrote a book. It was called The Vision, and my mother was a part of this group, and I used to go and help her out and do things. And I had an epiphany after she passed. I was asked to do the prayer. And when I did that prayer, I heard the Lord say to me, it's your time. You have a story, and you need to get your story out there. So that's how that became about. Miss Phyllis Jenkins is the one that owns The Powerful Journey, and she is amazing. I will tell you that I wrote my book in 6 months.
Really?
I went through our author's class and did it in 6 months. So if you have a story, you can call me, send me a message on my website. I'll get you in touch with Miss Phyllis, and she will be glad to help you. And you could be a published author and come to the conference and talk about your book.
So, in talking about the book, I mean, it sounds like family inspired you.
Yes.
Because of what the book is talking about. What are you hoping people walk away with when they read your book?
There's 2 things I want people to walk away with. One, I want people to realize that family and relationships are important. As women, we don't realize the importance of some of the relationships that we have. Now, my sister was one of them, and we were like best friends. We did everything together. But the second thing I want people to walk away with is to understand that God is real, and he will be there and put certain people in your life, such as JP, to help you through life to get and motivate you where you need to be. So
who are you, what would be the audience that the book and the content of the book is targeting? And what should they expect? Are they expecting highs and lows? And are they expecting a little romance? Are they expecting conflict between sisters as they shoot for the same boyfriend?
No.
I mean, kind of give us, I'm trying to get some content out of you here. I'm trying to steal it from the author. I am.
Yeah, you're trying to steal it.
I'm setting the hook.
Well, the content is, you're right. It's going to take you to different places. You're going to have so many different emotions reading my book. You're going to cry one moment. You're going to be happy the next moment. You're going to be, wow, did they really do that as sisters? So it's going to take you on a journey. And I will say one of the things that was amazing, and I'll give you another hint that's in the book. JP, do you remember the cartoon George of the Jungle?
I do.
Okay, so we reenacted that scene as kids. So you're going to have to find out how we did that and what got us in trouble.
Okay, now that's fun. And what got us in trouble?
Yes.
You know, I'm
Yes.
always into a good whooping or standing in the corner.
Right.
Because I had plenty of that in my life.
Right. And I could see you doing George of the Jungle.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure I
just-
did. Well, I used to make tents. Well, I should write a book.
You should.
I used to make tents, right? My sister had a canopy bed. And so I would take sheets and I would connect it to the door jamb. And I would use her trophies because she was in pageants,
okay,
right?
okay.
So weigh them down. Well, one day my tent didn't hold up. And my sister, she was like 3, walked under the tent and the trophy fell and hit her right in the head and stuck in her head.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got a spanking.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So, do you know the good use of why people in New York use fire hydrants?
to drink water? I don't know.
No. Wash cars.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But that'll be revealed in the book too.
That will be revealed in the book as
Wash
well.
cars.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
So, Faye, I want you to know, I just signed up for the Powerful Journey Annual Women's Conference
Awesome.
2021.
Awesome. And, you
So-
know, I am actually going to give you a signed copy of my book.
Oh, well, thank you
You're
for
going
that.
to get the first book.
Really? I'm excited.
the
Thank
first
you for
signed
that.
copy. Yes.
I can't wait to read it. I am
Yes.
super excited.
Yeah.
And when I get on to reading something, I don't put it down. So I'll have it done in like 2 days.
You think so?
Oh, I'll read 12 hours. And I'll make notes in the margins. And yeah, I'm a reader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love to read. Well, thank you for that there, Faye. I
welcome.
love that.
You're welcome.
And so people can go to your website. On your website, what will they find? Will they find some quotes from the book? Will they get a little explanation, maybe a little synopsis to hook them in? Or
A little bit. Right now, I have the back cover that's going to intrigue people to want to read the book. So I have a little bit of that out there. I'm doing the pre-orders, but you can feel free to call me. You can tag me on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page. My new business name is Divine Inspirations. It's on Facebook. So I will be this week and going forward up until April, giving you little tidbits about the book and just enticing you to want to read it. So,
well,
yes.
like I said, I'm excited. I've just signed up for the conference. And it's funny, 3-4 days ago, I guess, maybe a week ago, I decided I was going to wait until you got into studio to sign up for it.
Okay.
So I can encourage others to
Yes.
go on and watch and be supportive of you. You know, you've been a part of the crew since we started JP and Dr. B
Right.
back in the day.
Well, it's a long time.
A long time. And so you've
I
had
was
to
actually expecting Dr. B.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you need to reach out to him. In fact, I'll be seeing him this weekend.
Oh,
and
really?
he and I are going to have lunch. And so, yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him. You know, he got COVID-19.
No, I didn't know that.
And he's in his late 70s. And he's done all right with it. And so, yeah, he's recovered. And so,
Yeah.
thankful for that, of course.
Yeah. And I talk
But,
about that too. You know, people have to understand writing during a pandemic is a history breaker.
Boy, there's no doubt about that.
Right. It's a history breaker. So I made history because I wrote during a pandemic. So
Well, and you know, again, how many pandemics roll around, right? So we're in an era where not a lot of people in this world has experienced a pandemic, and so to write a book during that, I think you did used good use of your time on that
I
deal.
did. And I you know, I went through some emotions that I had suppressed.
Really?
From childhood. Yes. And so I had my good days, my bad days. But what really got me through to finish my book was Miss Phyllis. She gave me this example, and I'll never forget it. She said, I need for you to imagine someone sitting there in front of you wanting to hear your story, wanting you to write and to finish, to get to the finish line. So that was great.
Well, Michelle says hello to you, Faye Curtis.
Hi, Michelle.
And she's saying, hey, we need to get the crew together. Who's going with me?
Oh.
So there we go. We
Oh,
may have some crew members out there
awesome.
supporting another fellow crew member.
Right. And I will tell you, if you sign up for the conference, I am actually going to give you a book.
Really?
If you come
So
to
there
the
you go.
conference, I am going to give you, and I'm going to autograph it. So,
Well, there you
yes.
go.
And I'll have some merchandise at the conference. And one of my shirts will be, guess what, JP? Guess it.
Smile?
No.
Get off the couch?
No, it's about butter.
Oh, I got to get a T-shirt. I'll have to buy a T-shirt.
The slogan is, when in doubt, use butter.
Amen to that.
Right.
Right? And
So
real butter. We're not talking margarine.
No. We're
talking
So you're
real
gonna
butter.
need that shirt. So
Yeah, I need
Yes,
that shirt.
yes.
Absolutely need that
Yes.
shirt. So Faye, do you have another book already in your mind and where you're going next? I mean, because I know you.
you do.
I do.
You do. Actually, I do. My next one, I've already started on writing it down, and the title's going to be Daddy's Little Girl.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling there's going to be some tears and anger coming out of that one.
Yeah.
I had a
That one's
feeling.
going to be a little different curveball.
I imagine. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that as well, holy mackerel.
Hey, who knows? You might have one in you.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I just need to sit down and write.
you do.
I got a lot to say.
I can see that.
I'm auditory.
I can see
I
that.
talk too much. You know, my mother said that if
I'm still
she,
waiting on the cookbook.
well, I know, and I've got to get that out.
Yeah.
Cookbooks are hard
Why?
because you got to make sure everything is. Because I don't measure anything.
Oh.
You know, I throw stuff into taste, and even when I do the videos, right, I tell people, flavor for taste. And how you like it. For example, my dad doesn't like salt, and so for him, I would I would tell him flavor to taste. If you don't like salt, leave the salt out. But it's funny, publishers want specific details on how to
They
measure things. Yeah,
They do.
so that's that's
You're
been
gonna
killing
have
me.
to. You know what?
I need a
gonna bring you some
ghostwriter.
that too. But I'm gonna bring you some measuring cups so you can measure.
Oh,
everything.
measuring cups.
Yeah.
Will you fill them with butter?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll have butter too.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
really
have
cool.
butter.
I like that. I like that a lot. Again, go over to Faye's website. Do we already have that up? Can we bring that up, Bree, or no? We'll bring the event up. Let's go and look at that.
All right.
Again, I've already signed up for it. A lot going on at the event. What I love too is there's 3 different types of registrations. There's registration for teens. There's registration for conference goers. And then I think you can also make a donation. It's a nonprofit organization. Can you tell us a little bit about the nonprofit organization part of it?
Yes. Miss Phyllis is helping women that need help with any other situations. We actually give away scholarships. So she had the proclamation from the mayor of Plano. She's got that a couple of years. So it's a great organization, and she focuses on helping women, and so it's great. It's great.
Well, so if we can, Bree, normally you're pretty fast, Bree. What's going on over there?
Oh,
that
you're
doesn't-
distracting her.
That doesn't help much. Well,
You're distracting her.
we
JP.
also have Faye to thank
What?
for Bree
Oh yeah.
because Faye referred Bree over to us to intern with JP, Kathy, and the crew.
And she's doing a fabulous job.
And she's
gotta
really
say.
stinking up the room.
Yes,
She's
yes.
doing horrible. I'm gonna
She'll
fire
even be
her.
more fabulous when she puts my information on the
Yeah, I
screen.
don't know. Keep going, Jamie. Keep going. That sounds way
Or
familiar.
she could go to my Facebook page and you could put up the book cover.
It doesn't work that easy.
JP, what are you doing?
Hey, you're the one that referred her. What are you talking about? What am I doing?
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I thought it was easy. Just punch in it and just move it over. But evidently it's not.
Can you guess what other adventures that we go on?
Let's see. Is there a vacation in there somewhere? Like a summer vacation?
Yes. But you know what? I want you to guess one childhood thing about me that you probably don't know.
Well, how am I going to guess it if I don't know it?
Guess. Just guess.
Yes, childhood moment. Let's
Yeah.
see.
You know me.
I know
See how
you.
really well you know me.
Well, you're
This is putting JP on the spot.
you're an instructor of life. I could see you at 10 years of age looking up at somebody and going, "You're just wrong." And let me tell you why God says you're wrong. And I could just see you absolutely preaching it at 10 years of age to somebody who has crossed the line and has inspired you to make sure they understand where you're coming from and where the Lord's coming from.
Okay.
So I could see that. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong, but that's not one of them. Um, the one thing is, do you know what Carnegie Hall is?
I do.
I played there.
Really?
Yes.
How exciting
I
is
talk
that?
about that, and that is one of the most fabulous memories that I have.
Playing in Carnegie Hall.
A lot of people don't get to play in Carnegie Hall.
Well, yeah, no, I've never gotten to play in Carnegie Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten to play in Cannery Row,
No.
but not Carnegie
Yeah,
Hall.
yeah.
Of course, Cannery Row is on the West Coast, and it's where all the hobos go. So
You're
yeah,
a mess.
yeah, I am a
You're
mess.
a mess. I
So-
don't even know if it's still open or not. Carnegie Hall.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it is. I'm
Yeah.
sure it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of the social distancing and all of that. Charles Gura said, "Playing floor is lava." Playing that the floor is lava.
Oh.
Did you do that in your book?
No.
No, I did that before. Playing that the ground you can't touch on the ground in certain spots or you burn up.
No, I never played that.
I did. And whenever my sister touched the ground, she always burned up. I told her, "Yeah, you burned up. You missed it."
No, I never played that one.
No, it's all right. So let's talk about what's going on here at the conference. This is how you can register and sign up. It looks like it is Christian based.
Yes. Yes.
So talk to us about that.
Yes.
How do they integrate faith into what they're leading here in the conference?
Well, one thing you need to understand is that everybody has a story. Everybody has a story, and we focus on God helping you through certain situations and just be an inspiration. People now, being in a pandemic, you need inspiration. You need motivational speakers. You need quotes. You need help. You need life-changing information to help you get to where you want to be. And I, personally can say that me going through this Powerful Journey class was amazing. I had to, not only was I writing, but JP knows I had recently lost my mom. So I was dealing with, losing my mom and trying to write a book and thinking about all of the memories, again, that I suppressed that I didn't even think about, So yeah, I cried. I had moments where I cried and didn't want to write, and I would call Miss Phyllis and she would be my cheerleader, as she does. And so it's good. It's really good. I will say that if you come to the women's conference, you will be inspired. You will be fired up. You will realize that if you have a story, she will help you get it out there, and it's your story for God's glory. You don't realize how your story can impact someone else. Someone might be going through molestation, just for example.
Right.
And it could be in one of the ladies' books. It wasn't in my book, but we have ladies that have been through that, and they walk you through, they encourage you, they help you, and they show you you too can make it.
Fantastic.
You are a survivor. You can survive anything that life throws at you. You just need a little help. You need friends like JP.
Amen.
Yeah.
All right, so what do we got here? We've got...
Yeah, look at that. So I started my own business, JP.
Divine Inspiration by Faye.
Divine Inspiration by Faye. And the tagline I love, it's healing from the inside out. You have to realize that it comes from the inside. Everything you go through is on the inside. So you need help working through that. Bree, if you click on books and merchandise, and if you scroll down, look at that. I should have put JP up there reading.
Yeah,
the book.
why didn't you put me on there? I'm young and handsome. Really?
Well, you got a birthday coming up.
Easy. We stay focused.
Okay.
We stay focused.
So there's my book cover. It's called The Two of Us. And that picture right there is when I played at Carnegie Hall.
Really?
I actually literally kept the book. And guess what, JP?
What's
I
that?
still have that same piano. 1970
Wow.
Baldwin piano. I still have that piano today. So if you go to my page, there's information about me being a first-time author, and that you can, right now I'm taking pre-orders for my book. You can order now, and I'm personally going to sign each one of our books and give them to you. You can, right now I'm working on my shirts and merchandise, so we're just having a good time.
Sounds
Getting
like
things
it.
together.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And all the luck to you and all God's glory to you as well. And I know that this is going to take off and do amazing.
It is.
And
It
so
is.
Thank
And
you for
I'm thankful to be on the show this morning. And
thank you for making us a part of this. And you got to let us know how things are going. I want to hear when you have a book tour, because that would be way cool.
yeah,
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 you should start in Manhattan.
I should, but there's a pandemic, so
Well,
I can't.
that's
I
true.
can't
There
go.
is a
I'm
pandemic.
banned from New York right now, so
Yeah, I can imagine that be the case.
the
So
travel ban. I can't go.
the
Anywhere.
travel ban.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any questions for Faye, feel free to shoot them off here into the feed. You can also, again, you can catch Faye on her website, Divine Inspirations, FayeDivineInspirations.com. Pre-order her book. I noticed on there it was, what, $10.58 or
Yes,
something?
that includes the PayPal fee in there. So yes, after April, I will be making it an ebook as well. So, but right now we're doing the physical books. So yes, it'll be a great thing for everybody to read. You'll go highs, lows. You're gonna feel all kinds of emotions. So get your hot chocolate, your tissue, and just sit
warm
back.
blanket.
Right, warm blanket.
There you go.
And you're gonna knock it out and be encouraged.
So Nathan says, why doesn't she write under divinity, in quotes?
You mean my title or?
I don't know. Nathan, be more specific. What do you mean by write under divinity? I wonder if that is a publishing company or...
I haven't heard of them. So
I don't know. I don't know what he means. Nathan, let us know what you mean.
Nathan, clarify that for me, please.
Oh, easy, Nathan. She'll come after you. She knows where you live.
I do know where you live. Yeah.
So, but again, just it's very exciting to have a crew member put this out there. And you're putting yourself out there.
I am.
And I know that it'll make such a good impact because I know where your heart is. And I've known you for a long time. And I know that this is going to really make a difference for a lot of people. He goes as a name, right? As your name, Divinity.
Oh, as my name.
That would be your writer's name.
Oh, I like that.
There you go,
I
Nathan.
like
See,
that.
the crew has jumped in.
All right. We got any more?
Well, I just have Divinity so
Divinity.
far.
Okay.
Yeah, Nathan jumped in
so
there.
Nathan, you're in the lead. And if you
in the
win,
lead.
Nathan, I will personally give you a book.
Oh, look at there, Nathan.
Look at that.
Autograph book.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then your new writer's name would be Divinity.
Divinity. Right.
That's kinda
right,
cool.
Right. So we can do a challenge. So,
Name me.
Yeah. Name me. Yeah.
There you go.
Book handle names for Faye. There we go.
Nathan's like, you were asking for one earlier. I said I did.
You did.
I
Book
did.
handle names for Faye. Let's see what people come up with.
Divinity.
I'm sure Michelle has one too.
Oh, I'm sure Michelle's got something.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that.
I'm sure she has one too.
All right. Guess what also begins here coming up very soon? College baseball will be kicking off as well. So as we get into sports, we'll be starting to cover college baseball. College basketball, of course, is off and running. Nathan says he wants to go on and purchase one, ma'am.
Well, thank you.
So
Nathan.
there you go.
Thank you.
As we get ready to kick off sports on Friday, we'll talk a little bit NFL playoffs. We'll talk college baseball. Pitchers and catchers are reporting. Want to thank Coach Quigley for keeping us up to date on what's going on. The schedule is coming out for college baseball and the MLB, so that's going to be interesting. The NBA is on fire as well. College basketball is on fire. As Coach Quigley sent to me yesterday, probably the first time in the history of college basketball, Duke, North Carolina, and Syracuse are not ranked in the top 25.
That's a shame.
That's interesting.
That's a shame.
Texas, however, is ranked in the top 10, and Baylor is ranked number 2, and Houston is ranked as well. So Kathy Owen says, I can't wait to read your book, Faye.
Oh, thank you, Kathy.
So there you go. All right. And so again, to go on and find books that, or find Faye's book, go on to her website, FayeDivineInspirations.com. That's FayeDivineInspirations.com. Join me as we go to the women's conference. Faye, you'll be speaking on Saturday. Is that right?
Yes, I will be speaking on Saturday.
So-
I am one of the keynote speakers.
Oh, keynote. That's very
Keynote,
good.
yes,
So when will
yes.
you? When does your presentation begin?
I don't have the lineup yet. I know the conference starts at 9, so I don't know where I am in the lineup. So, but yes, I will be speaking on Saturday. Friday night, I will be autographing books and saying hi to everybody. So if you want to come on to the hotel and hang out with me from 6:30 to 9. Yep.
Now listen to this. How cute is this? Michelle says, "Can we do a date night, Nathan? Dinner and you read a chapter or two to me."
Oh.
Look at there. Your book is becoming a date night. That's kind of fun.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
All right.
I was thinking also of going to Two Rows and having a
Book
lunch
signing
party.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
hey,
And I know that's your favorite.
it is. Two Rows, one of my
I
favorites.
know.
So
I
let me know.
So we're going to have to put that together.
We'll put it together. We'll make sure we're there and let the crew know so they can come out and be supportive as well. So stay tuned. Friday, big day. Of course, the inauguration will be behind us at that point. So we'll talk about Joe Biden going into office as President Trump went out of office. We'll talk about sports. Tons of sports going on. Is Duke really that bad? Well, Pitt put him down last night. And so I would say Duke is really that bad. College football is behind us. No real conversation piece there. Am surprised in college basketball that Alabama is ranked in the top 25. I don't know that they deserve that.
No.
And that Tennessee got smoked last night. So this tells us,
that.
yeah, and they were ranked number 6 in the country. And I mean, we're not talking beaten, we're talking smoked.
Yeah, they did.
And so do we really have a handle on who's really in the top 25 or not? I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Texas Tech, however, did break into the top 3 in college baseball when the college baseball rankings have come out. UCLA, the other power baseball school in college baseball, also in the top as well. And of course, you can't exclude Florida. Florida also there as well. In fact, that's how the rankings go. Florida's ranked 1st in the country. UCLA ranked number 2. Texas Tech 3. Vanderbilt, huge baseball school, ranked number 4th in the country. And rounding out your top 5, Louisville. Of course, with the Louisville Slugger, you got to have Louisville in there. Louisville ranked number 5. Of course, Texas comes in ranked 9th. Also a huge baseball school. And TCU rounds out at number 10. So lots to discuss on Friday. Join us. Also, don't forget, it's Weird, Wacky, Crazy Friday. So we'll have some crazy, wacky stuff. Also pray that Kathy's asthma heals up nicely and that we get her back on Friday. She's had a bout with it. Of course, as we go through the winter and into the spring, the air is not Kathy's friend. So we pray
Kathy,
that...
we hope you're listening, and we pray you get better.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right, with that being said, I know the music is starting as we get ready to walk out on another day and put another chapter of JP, Kathy, and the crew in the books. Want to thank Faye Curtis for making the trip up here.
Thank you,
Again, get over to her
everyone.
website and get yourself a book. That's FayeDivineInspirations.com. Also, join me at the Women's Conference.
Yes.
And hear what Faye has to say.
And I have to say, happy early birthday to
Well,
you.
thank you, Faye
You knew I was
Curtis.
going to do it.
Yeah, I was hoping you
already
forgot.
know I was
hoping
gonna
you
do it.
forgot. You know what's funny about that? Let me tell you what's funny about that. I get to skip being 49 and everything's about, well, he's almost 50.
Yeah.
But how is
But you
that?
are
Then why
almost
not? Then
50.
why not just why have 49 at all then?
The government came up with that.
The government came up to another conspiracy. There we go.
Conspiracy
It's the
theory.
government's fault.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, with that being said, I'm going to govern our way out the door. Have a blessed